All right, good morning or good evening. No music today because I want to make sure that you all can hear me for this. We are starting congruent triangle unit. You should have already glued in the divider. And this is going to be the first lesson, which is congruent figures. Okay, so please write this title right here on your paper and the date, and we can get started. So we're going to go over a few vocabulary. Congruent, corresponding parts are, the definition are sides and angles of two triangles that are congruent, congruent to each other. So for instance, if you look at this, AB is congruent to FE. AC is congruent to DF, and BC is congruent to DE. Now, the reason why I changed the numbers of marks so I knew which side was congruent to which. Now, if we're talking about corresponding polygons, two polygons with corresponding parts are congruent. So, if I have a triangle, let's change my shape. Here's one triangle. Here's another triangle. And we're going to name them, let's change colors. B, C is equal to D, E, F. Whoops. I'm going to say these two are congruent. Oh, come back. Sorry, you guys. Okay. Do you see that all the parts are congruent? So therefore, these two triangles are congruent because the corresponding sides are congruent. Now, a congruent statement is a statement that that shows which sides are congruent and which angles are congruent. The congruent statement is big because this is what we're going to look at all the time. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. That means that that is a congruent statement. If you look at the one that we did a second ago, it does not matter where you start. I'm going to say ABC. So if I say triangle A, B, C is congruent to triangle, I can't say D, E, F. Let's look at this. ABC goes from A through the side that has two marks. So I have to start with not A, D. If you look at A, it's in between the sides that have one mark and two marks. So which letter is in between the side that has one mark and two marks? If you notice, it is F. Then it goes through the two mark side. So it's going to go F, D, E. Now, the reason why I did it this way is I want you not to assume that it's going to be alphabetical every time, because it is not. And they will try to trick you by that. So please make sure you actually look at the congruent statement and make sure that you write it appropriately. Okay? Now let's look at this one. We are going to match all the sides and all the angles up. So here we go, corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So let's start with looking, and let's go ahead and put which angles are congruent. If you notice, L is going to be congruent to P because they're both in between the two sides that are marked 1 mark and 3 marks. And N, so I'm going to use 2, is congruent to S. So let's go ahead and write these. Angle L is congruent to angle P. Angle N is congruent to angle S. Angle M is congruent to angle R. And then let's talk about the sides, the corresponding sides. LM is congruent to PR. And the reason is because they both have 1 tick mark. Do you see that? LM, PR. They both have 1 tick mark. Then we have MN is congruent to RS. And LN is congruent, to PS. All right. Now, you have this triangle, and we are going to solve it for A, B, and C. The first thing we need to do is look at this congruent statement. That's going to let me know what is congruent to what. So let's look at this. A, B. If you notice, A, B is the first 2 letters in the congruent statement. So the first 2 letters in the other triangle of the congruent statement is X, Y. Then we have BC. BC is the first, is the middle and the second and third letter in the congruent statement. So YZ would be congruent to it. And then you can know what the third one is. Now let's talk about angles. A is the first letter, so it's going to be congruent to X. B is the second letter, so it's going to be congruent to Y. And then you have C and Z. Now that we know that, we can solve for A, B, and C. Now if you look at AB, it says 5B minus 9, minus A. I don't want to start with that because it has 2 variables. So we're not going to start there. Let's look at angle Y and angle B. They say 3A minus 12 and 2A plus 8. Well, we know that angle B is equal to angle Y. So I could go ahead and solve this problem. Okay? Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to speed up for you. So this becomes, let's subtract 2A. 1A minus 12 is equal to 8. Add 12. A is equal to 20. So I'm going to write A equal to 20. Now, I can also find C by doing angle C is equal to angle, go back, is equal to angle Z. So this becomes 12C is equal to 10C plus 6. Subtract 10C. You're going to get 2C is equal to 6, divide by 2. C is equal to 3. Now, how am I going to find B? Well, it says 4B minus A. I know what A is now. So let's use it. 4, so now, I'm sorry, not 4B, 5B. So this is now 5B minus 20, because A was 20. Then I have 3b plus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this using those equations. 5b minus 20 equals 3b plus 6. Subtract 3b, 2b minus 20 equals 6. Add 20, 2b equals 26. When you divide by 2, b is equal to 13. Okay? Now, we got to talk about included angles and included sides. Included means in between either two sides or two angles. If you look at A, it says what angle is in between AB and CD. Well, let's look at this. AB is right here. All right, I'm sorry, that should be not CD. That should be a B. Sorry, let's change that. This should be CB. And then CB is right here. So what angle is in between both of those sides? If you notice, they come together at angle B. Okay? Now, let me try it again. What side is in between angle A, so here's angle A, and angle C, and here's angle C. The side that is in between it would be side AC. Okay? And let's try another angle real quick. What angle is in between BC, BC, and CA? That would be angle C. That's where the two come to meet. Okay, that was it for today. The only thing you do is write this down. I put a congruent statement on there. I need you all to write all the corresponding angles and all the corresponding sides that are congruent, looking at this congruent statement right here. Okay? Have a great one.